Welcome to another episode of Pels and the Blend. It's your boy A. Davis coming to y'all on this Tuesday morning. Excuse me, on this Tuesday morning. Give y'all a little quick episode this morning, man. The Pels play tomorrow, and really they play the Pistons, and like thinking about them getting ready to play the Pistons kind of had me thinking about a lot of like the future of the Pelicans and how quickly things could turn around as we looking through like the Pistons roster and what they had going on in their history literally just 2 seasons ago. And then, it was one of the worst teams in the league. They had been one of the worst teams for an extended period of time. They did have Cade, they did have um, some draft success, but at the time when they took some of those picks, it wasn't looked at necessarily as success, right? But with time, with development, some of them players turned around. They got the right coach. They got Trajan in there. Trajan made Whoa, what's good, Mike? Appreciate you, dog. Tapping in as always. Whoa, what's good, Q? Appreciate y'all, man. Always tapping in, bro. Um, the Pistons had made some moves. Trajan came over there, brought in some quality vets. He brought in Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, players like that, and then just kind of help supplement some of the young talent. And then they went and got a coach who was, JB Bickerstaff, who had some success with Cleveland at the time, but had kind of got he didn't have really a great relationship reportedly with Donovan Mitchell. And then that kind of pushed him out and then allowed him to go to Detroit. And then boom, you see kind of where they took off from there. Also, on top of that, Cade developed into a superstar, or is developing into a superstar. And you see during this year took another leap. Stewart was solid, and then now your young players are in a position where they're and they're in the East. At the end of the day, they are in the East. Being in the East always helps. But you saw quickly how that could turn around. Now, I'm gonna continue to say this, man. The West is not that good. Like, if you really go top down, like through the West, and you watch a lot of the teams are very flawed. And then, like with Golden State just recently being, losing Jimmy for the season, realistically, you see them take a step back. You don't know, like OKC has been on it, like they're still clearly, you got to give them benefit of the doubt, as clearly the best team. But J Dub hurt. You don't know when J Dub coming back. So you don't know what's going on with them. So like realistically, if this team being the Pelicans had any kind of just was decent at all, you could be looking at the trade deadline to put yourself in position to like make a move, right? But with the West being so bad, and honestly the East not really being good either, it could lead for opportunities for the Pelicans to somewhat salvage I don't want to say the season, because the season is done for. Like, I don't even think they're planning to win, stuff like that. I think the season is about developing and seeing what you have. But you could find yourself in a situation with exactly like moves like this, Mike. Um, would the ease for Matherin move be a good move? Like, I guess it depends on where you stand, right? If you feel like Matt, so this is what I know about Matherin, right? I think in the league you absolutely need wing scorers and stuff like that, right? And I think bigs are easily replaceable. You saw Matherin at times during the finals last season, like, and at times during the playoffs, look like one of the top offensive players on that Indy team. Now, the only question I have is I don't know what Ben Matherin would look like while he was here, but a good example would be Ben Matherin was one of the better was thought of as one of the better offensive players coming out in that draft, right? Think about, this is an extreme comp, but like think about when Michael Porter Jr. was in Denver and how he looked when he went to the Nets. Just freedom, opportunity to play a completely different style of game. We saw when they needed Ben Matherin to go score and do some of that kind of stuff and be like a good offensive player against elite defensive players. he was able to go get a bucket. And I absolutely think in the like what this team need is bucket getters to a degree. Now, do I like Eves? Yes, but realistically, Ben Mathurin for Eves, I mean, I would absolutely consider it. I think it would be a good move. I just think this team has to take as many chances as it can on wing players, in my opinion. Um, he's coming up on a contract though. That's the main piece. I agree, but I don't know what the number gonna be, right? Like Ben ain't getting no max deal or nothing like that. So like, are you able to work out something just to keep him like mid level? Like most of the players around Ben Mathurin, they're not getting 20. So like I guess it would depend on like what numbers you looking at. And going forward, like the Pelicans have a lot of contracts getting ready to expire. You're gonna have to replace some of those players anyway. So I'm just interested to see what it is they would do, because the Pelicans don't have a lot of, again, man, like the Pelicans aren't a free agent destination, right? So you always have to overpay, and then sometimes you have to take chances like this on certain players. Like, do they like Eve? Probably, but is Eves a difference maker? Like, let's just be honest about Eves. And I like Eves a lot, but is Eves a difference maker? Not really. Like, not for this team, at least. Not for this team, at least. Like, I think they need so much more than what Eves could provide. And then based on what the coaching look like right now, they're not playing Eves extended minutes. So they're not, like, Eves barely cracking 20 minutes a game. So you might as well, if that's the case, and you're gonna play like more of a, or you're anticipating playing more of a faster pace kind of game, right? You need more people that can put the ball in the hole, like consistently put the ball in the hole. And at the end of the day, like I think that's what they're thinking. Like, take an opportunity on a guy who was a top 10 draft pick, has some size, you know what I mean? And then I think you take a chance on, like, again, bro, we thought Eves, and shout out to Eves for what Eves has done so far, but like when they drafted Eves at 21, like nobody thought Eves was gonna even be playable for like years. You thought Eves was gonna spend so much time in the G League and all of that. Like, Eves has done a good job. He still has trouble catching, like, but if you could turn Eves Nisi respectfully into Ben Mathurin, and Ben shows you some of what he showed you in Indy, and then maybe takes another step on that, that's an upgrade in my opinion, especially if you don't have to do much for it. Again, it might cost you, but I think this roster is going to look completely different moving forward next season. So like, not even just next season, but like I think that's one of those outside the main pieces kind of moves that I think you would make and could make, that could possibly make a difference in your roster. Because then you think about like possibly having a wing piece. You don't know, like, I don't know how you feel about Herb, but like, if you had Ben Mathurin and just say Herb spot for right now, right? Like, you would know the shooting and the scoring and necessarily like it's there, like the opportunities would be there. And then you would talk about bringing maybe Sadiq Bey off the bench. You would be like, okay, so now we have maybe two players that's more consistent scoring, so you don't have some of those offensive droughts that this team particularly goes through. And then Ben shows you he had moments where he can actually turn up and go be a bucket getter against really good defenses. So like, it's absolutely something that I would consider. And I think, and to this point right here, Joe and Troy know they got to make some risky trades to get quality talent in the market. Absolutely. And then like, again, I think with so much happening, the market right now is in a space where you really don't see too often, right? Like, Trae Young, for whatever people say about Trae Young is I consider Trae Young a max player, right? But you got Trae Young, who's still, well, how old is Trae Young? 26, 27, something like that. Essentially a career 2010 guy. You got him for an expiring and no pick, right? They talking about Ja Morant, who was the number 2 pick in the draft, and whatever you say about Ja, like, Ja's still an impactful player, right? They talking about Ja going for, you know, less than what Desmond Bain went for, right? Jimmy Butler just got hurt. So what does that mean for Golden State? Like, what is Golden State gonna be looking to do? Is Golden State about to, do they say, man, we like, again, Steph only got so many years left. Like, do they do something risky? Maybe they call about maybe JP, or do they just really throw everything at you to try and get trade? Or maybe they think Herb is a piece that could somewhat fill that, you know, that void and they need and stuff like that. So maybe they make, because the West is more open than people think. I think people might be more willing to give assets, right, for some of these players. So I think you absolutely could turn around and benefit somewhat to a degree and kind of quickly turn this thing around. And I don't mean turn it around like for this season. This season is shot. This season is dead. This season is over. But if you make certain moves, you could have yourself in position going into next year, right? To actually have some pieces available to you to where you'll feel a little bit different about it. When the color has been looking decent enough to make him expendable. So I agree. That's another thing too. Like, realistically, if you moved Eves, I think it would just really like, you're not playing Looney anyway. You could go ahead and play Queen and play Carlo and just call it a day, right? Like, you ain't got to overly worry about shuffling bigs and stuff like that. Like, I think it would just put you in a situation where I think part of the problem that they have, and part of the problem that the Pelicans have, in my opinion, is I think they've been playing too many players. Like, I don't think Hawkins needs to play at all. Like, I don't think, respectfully to Bryce, and Bryce has been having up and down moments, but like, if you're gonna play Bryce McGowan's 20-something minutes, imagine if you had Ben Mathurin with them same 20-something minutes. I like Michael Peavy. Peavy have moments, but like, he a second round pick that, like, give me Ben Mathurin in those minutes. Like, you've been having issues with Poole to a degree, and like his up and down play as of late sometimes, even though he has been shooting it a little bit better. Like, if you add a player like Ben Mathurin, like, it just solidifies a lot of that. If you remove Eves, you're just kind of like, all right, we playing Queen and Carlo, and we need another big for a couple minutes of the game. Like, they've been playing, they damn near play Z at the big, or you just come on and play Looney. Like, that's just the way it goes. Let me see. I'm about going after John Ben. Honestly, get some attitude in here. We too nice, too soft. Absolutely, bro. And I think those kinds of players, absolutely fit what Joe and Troy are trying to build. And I think they're trying to build it like covertly, if that makes sense, right? Because a lot of people talking about, well, you know, the Pelicans aren't making like Zion available or stuff like that. And it's kind of like, bro, for a team that's already lagging in talent, and me and Chaz did the show last night, so I'm like just kind of reiterating like what we said yesterday. But for a team that's already lacking in talent, if you can, let's say you could keep Z, Trey, and maybe not Herb, but Herb to a lesser degree. But if you could keep the players that they were talking about, right? And that's the players they were talking about was Z, Trey, Herb, obviously Queen, and Fizz. If you take those five out, make everybody else available, but then you turn Eves Messi into a 21 into Ben Mathurin, right? And regardless of what you say, Ben Mathurin has showed he could score, he could play, he got the edge and all of that. Like, I think they looking for their type of guys. Ben Mathurin fits that kind of category. And if you can get Ja Morant without any of that, right? If you could get Ja Morant for like Poole and like a combination of like Poole, Murray, like something based around that, where you not giving up any of the other stuff, bro, you immediately come in the next season and you feel not completely different, because I think you still got to figure out the coaching and stuff like that. But you go into the season being like, bro, we got Ja, Z, and like, again, obviously they got to play, but that's the kind of, like, these are the second stops for a lot of players, or sometimes where players kind of get it together to a degree. And a lot of those players are extremely young in their career. Like I don't even think Ben Mathurin is 25. Like Ja might be like 25, 26 or something like most of them dudes still relatively young. Still relatively young. So like if you get them in here and them in here with the attitude of you quit on me, the next team believe in me, don't nobody believe in us, like you might be able to turn that thing around pretty quickly. And I think that's how you do it. Like everybody take accountability. The main thing, though, obviously, is getting the coach and getting that figured out. They won 21 games last year. You at 10 right now. Bro, they at 10 right now. I don't think they're gonna get another win in January, to be honest. I think they in January 10 and I said it 10 and 41. Like, just to me, it don't even feel like the objective is to win, right? Like if you watch how they play the rotations and stuff like that, it just looked like they're like, look, man, make sure, like, obviously make sure our rookies get their minutes, make sure they play, and however, whatever else you're trying to do, you're trying to figure out. But it just don't look, it don't look to me like the game plan don't look solid. The offense don't look like it did when they first were trying to figure out the offense and what was going on. Everything looked kind of sloppy. The defense not good. The transition then got worse. Like the transition defense then got worse. Shit, the transition offense ain't really great either. So like, and again, you in a position now where not that it don't matter, but like it damn near don't matter. So with that being the case, you almost got to be in talent acquisition mode, right? You got to be in talent acquisition mode. Also, the talent that you talk about acquiring is relatively young talent, right? Like if and me and I made this point with Chaz yesterday too. Let's say you go get Ja. Ja got 2 years left. Let's say you go get Ben Mathurin and you give Ben Mathurin a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal, whatever it is, something like that. Bruh, Fears, I think Fears is possibly, I don't want to say the cornerstone piece, but like of him and Queen, I think Fears is the more like the player with more upside, I'll say. And shout out to Mike. Me and Mike had this conversation all the time. He says like guards that develop raise the floor of your team, right? But again, Fears is like 3 years away, right? 3-4 years away before being like whatever you think he can be to carry a team or something like that, right? So if you had Ja and Ben and Z and Trey and all of them, bro, by like in 2 or 3 years, even if you gotta get ready to move off them or let them go or whatever the case may be, now you got Fizz who's really ready to take over the team, and then you kind of move on into whatever else is whatever else you're gonna acquire, whatever new talent is in the league, whoever you draft in those years, because you'll still have your picks, and then whatever moves you make to maybe acquire picks and stuff like that. Like the league changes extremely fast. Like the league goes from one team having an opportunity to you might not see that team back in the finals again for a long, long time. You know what I mean? So in just how Indiana, when they made the move for Hallie, real quick, turned that around and went from, not saying that they weren't a bad team. You know, they were always competitive and stuff, but they went from 2 years in the Eastern Conference Finals kind of out of nowhere. Like even Minnesota, if you think about it, like they made the Gobert trade, right? Like you say what you want. Ant was there, Cat was there. And not saying that Ant didn't develop and become great, but when Ant like was ready, they made the Gobert trade, and now you win the 2 Western Conference Finals. But before that, Minnesota was a playing team, barely getting out of the first, like didn't get out the first round. So you have to acquire talent when you getting ready to really make a push, right? That's just the way it go. You seen look at the Knicks. They talking about moving Carl, at least they're reportedly considering moving Karl Anthony Towns right now, right? Like you see Karl Anthony Towns is possibly available. But the Knicks, before Karl Anthony Towns, I don't think they made a like, and again, man, this is part of why like firing, I don't think they should have fired Tibbs, and I think Mike Brown is slightly overrated and stuff like that. Like it's been proven out over the years. But if they go ahead and just move off of Karl Anthony Towns, it's like, bro, you had your most successful season when you were acquiring the talent, just having the talent out there on the court. People don't understand how much it matters, man, having real players. It just matters in the game plan, and it matters in like the mentality of the team, the confidence and stuff like that. Like if you out there with dudes who borderline NBA players, right? Like respectfully to like, and I don't even know if I need to say respectfully, but like Hawkins is a borderline NBA player. Bryce McGowan, I like Bryce, but like Bryce on most teams probably not getting 20 something minutes a game. You know what I mean? Not that like Carlo and Eves will probably be able to play, but they're not like 20, 30 a minute like guys on contending teams. So you just gotta, man, you gotta really look at your roster and go get players that really make a difference in this league, in my opinion. Don't the Pels mostly need shooting and rebounding? If you get rid of Missy, who's going to rebound? He's not great at rebounding, but at least he has some skill. So that's the thing for me. Like you do. So how I look at it, if you, let's say you swapped Ben Mathurin for Yves Missi, right? Like Ben is, in my opinion, Ben is a scorer at the end of the day, and I think wings win in the league. Like that's just what it does. Wings win in the league, and I think bigs are like more replaceable. I think it's easier to go get a 7-footer and simplify his job and just say, you know, go be athletic. And again, you still technically got Carlo, and right now I don't know. I mean, who's the better player, Carlo or Eves, right? Like there's moments where Eves look more impressive, but we'll say Ben Mathurin is probably better than, like significantly better than both of them. So I think you can, they're gonna struggle to rebound anyway. They're gonna struggle to rebound anyway. We don't even play the two bigs, and they barely play the two big lineups that will help with the rebounding regardless. Like, and part of their issues is that they can't score the ball. Like, so if I'm taking a long-term approach, right? If I'm taking a long-term approach, especially if Joe and Troy have targeted another big that they plan to, try to acquire or something like that, or if they just gonna look at the crop of bigs that's coming up through the league or whatever, then like I think you go get the wing that's available, because the not star wing, because Ben Mathurin is not a star, but I just think the potential upside of the wing player takes you further than the potential upside of the big man in this particular case, because it's not like we talking about respect like Nisi turning into like a Chet. You know what I mean? Like he don't have that kind of game. So like most teams, realistically, like most teams don't even play bigs like Eves. So it's just kind of like, not that he doesn't help you, but I think it's part of the reason that like we're that bad. So that's just my opinion on it. And I think you could easily turn around and replace Misi. Like, and I like Eve. So like, do I want Eve to go? No, but if I'm choosing between Eves and Mathurin, and what's realistically gonna happen is you're gonna see a lot of these dudes go somewhere else, and like um they're going to look, I don't want to say better necessarily, but you're gonna see them and they're gonna have some good games and good nights, and they might help some other teams and stuff like that. And I think Misi is gonna be a good player, but like if I'm choosing like upside and a rebuild and what I think this particular team needs, I personally would swap Ben Mathurin for Ease Misi, because I just think it does more for your team in the areas that they struggle with than what Eves does right now. And again, Eves is only playing like 18 minutes a game anyway. Like I could easily see a scenario where, like, here's another hypothetical, right? Let's say you have a Herb Jones deal on the table, right? I don't know what Herb Jones deal will possibly be there, but let's just say you got a Herb Jones deal on the table. If you were to acquire Ben Mathurin, right? You're not really worried again about the loss as much of Herb Jones. And not saying that they're the same player, but you slot Ben Mathurin, and then whatever, like it just softens the blow. Like you look at more of what you acquired for Herb as like a true asset, and then maybe you could go get a big that fit more of what it is you're trying to do. Right? Like I'm still of the mindset to like that this team needs to go target and like make the call on Khalil Well and like try to have that guy become a Pelican, because I think his skill set, talent, upside, size, all of that just perfectly fits with no matter who it is you're trying to bring in again. He's only a second year player, but you see you see Khalil Welk having games where he's playing 8 minutes, he's playing the first half, not playing the second half. It's almost as if they're treating him like a rookie, and you can make the case he's like top 4 on their team. So I don't know, man. Like when players like that are available, I think you just gotta do your best to try and acquire those players, because and most people understand this. Like, you wouldn't be able to get these players any other way. Like, players like Ja Morant don't become available, and if they do become available, like, I just think even if they had their like when most of those players become free agents, none of them would ever choose to come to New Orleans, right? Half of them don't choose to stay in New Orleans. So like, that's like, you have to take chances on players like that, and like to put yourself in a position to like turn it around and acquire elite talent. That's just what it boils down to. So that's just kind of like where I'm at, man. Like I said, again, I was just thinking about the like, with everything going on, the trade deadline is coming, and I'm just of the mindset that, like, I'm interested to see, and I know the Trae Young trade is technically like one of the first trades that have already happened, but I'm interested to see what's gonna happen moving forward. Again, like, Kuminga was like, he made, obviously he formally requested the trade, but now Jimmy's done. So like, are Golden, like, is Golden State more so like, well, now they asked Steve Kerr about it. He was like, yeah, absolutely, he's ready to play and all of that. And it's like, are they still actively trying to move him? You know what I mean? Or do they stay pat, like stand pat or whatever? Like, or are they more willing to make a move for Malik Monk, or do something with Sacramento? Like, it's so interesting, like, what's going on in the league right now, and how many potential stars are available. And then if you think about how the teams that are the top teams right now, like, other than like OKC and Denver, which for the most part, like who they are, like Detroit in the East, Toronto, Boston without Tatum. Like, a lot of those teams, man, you make one or two moves and you might feel like you have an opportunity to compete. So I just as the trade deadline comes down, man, it's just very interesting to me to consider how much activity possibly is going to happen. And then again, they thought this offseason was going to have, like Shams was saying, it was going to be a lot of activity in the offseason, and then it was pretty much nothing. Like, it wasn't nothing crazy that took place in the offseason. So like, I wonder if also we getting ready to go through one of those where, like, we think there's going to be a lot of movement. I think the Pels should be active right on the backside of their roster, but like, do most teams just say, look, we just gonna sit with where we at and then wait to the off season? So I don't know, but I'm hoping that, like, and when I say hoping, I truly mean hoping that, like, Ja Morant, if you told me that the Pelicans after the trade deadline had Ja Morant and Ben Mathurin, not that I'm like, not that I feel like the season is a success, right? Because that's not the case at all. But going into next year, depending on what it is you gave up, if I got Ja, Z, Trey, Queen, Fizz, possibly Ben Mathurin, you know what I mean? Would still, I don't know what you'd have to move, but like, still possibly having, like, being able to move some people, like having some expiring salaries and stuff going into the off season. You still got all your future picks with the possibility of going higher, whatever. Because I'm of the mindset that this coaching staff is gone. I'll be honest. I'm operating with the idea that the coaching staff will be completely replaced day after the season ends, something like that. I think it's going to be swift. And they'll start their hiring process pretty quickly before you get into I mean, you ain't got to worry necessarily about the draft, but again, you might find yourself in a draft if you end up moving a Herb Jones or something like that. You might find yourself in a position to where you have picks, and again, we'll see. But man, I'm not gonna hold y'all too much today. That's kind of where I was at. Like I said, the game coming up against Detroit, and I just really was sitting there looking at how Detroit had been bad for so long, and they had been worse than us, kind of bad. Like, yeah, they had a history, but they had been worse than us, kind of bad. Cade couldn't stay healthy. Um, Ivy like constantly hurt. The coaching was bad. They had the 20 something straight losses. Like, and Monty had just got all that money, so like it was a really bad situation, and it looked like there wasn't really no upside. And then all of a sudden, you talk about literally in a season, and I guess you don't call it a season if they had been bad for that long and just acquiring talent. Like, eventually you thought it was going to turn around and eventually it was going to pop, but you needed somebody to put it together, and you ended up getting Trajan, and you ended up getting Trajan, and you ended up getting Bickerstaff. So I'm of the mindset that Troy Weaver, and Troy more than Joe, but I think Joe and Troy have a plan, have an idea, and that's why like I do think they'll be aggressive. And again, if you told me that, like, again, and the reports are that they're a real contender to land Ja Morant. If you go into after the trade deadline and then the second half of the season, and I don't even know if they need to play or not, but if the second half of the season you told me that you got Ja on the roster and Ben Mathurin on the roster going into the offseason and stuff like that, I just think you're in a more advantageous position moving forward from a talent perspective, because you're looking at it and it's like, okay, Ja's an elite talent. Trey looked like he's a top tier talent. Zion, for whatever people say, Zion's still a top talent, right? Ben Mathurin was a top talent. Like, you, Queen, for whatever Queen's flaws are, Queen is still talented. And like those guys going into year two, you hope that they're going to improve, not to mention whatever else you can add. And sometimes it's just addition by subtraction. Sometimes removing, like, and I like Jose, right? But if you could get something for Jose and like allow Fierce to like have those minutes and have Ja in like, let's say Ja's your starter and then like you're off the bench guy for 20 some minutes a game is Jeremiah Fierce, your team is like significantly better. Like, it's just better, right? So addition by subtraction, like as not as, I hope that's not like a mean way to say it, but that's just kind of where it is. Also, man, just want to make like a little announcement. Y'all been seeing, I do a lot of shows and stuff like that, and I have guests on all the time. I think, well, not I think, but me and Chaz working on something specifically for specifically for like, I don't want to say the fans, but I'm gonna just say for all of the people that kind of like follow the team, follow the NBA, follow like sports in general. Man, Thursday, I need y'all to tap in. So we're doing a show, right? We're doing a show, and it's like a for the people, where we allow, and if you want, every guest come up and like we'll run, like we'll all run the show together. Like, everybody could come out, get their opinions. Y'all talk about whatever y'all want, but not like a one at a time kind of thing, and not like you want no short form kind of conversation, right? I'm talking about like essentially we gonna do uh, almost like the spaces, right? Almost like the spaces, but not necessarily like that. Like, everybody going, if you want to bring up your video, cool. If you just want to be on the audio, cool. But we'll all have an opportunity to just interact, talk about whatever it is that they want to talk about in either in the Pelicans, if you want to talk about the trade deadline, you want to talk about the history, like whatever it is that we want to talk about, man. So just be on the lookout for that episode Thursday. I'm gonna drop the link probably sometime later today. So if you know what I mean, and anybody want get ready to jump in, it'll be up. You'll know where to find it. It's gonna be on YouTube as well. We also gonna probably stream it at the same time on X. So like, if you want to come up and just like for example, Mike, man, you be on the show a lot. Jeremy, feel free to, we'll the link will be there. You know what I mean? Join up, come have a conversation. We'll run it. Q will run it. Jade normally be in the show, we'll run it. Like whoever is on at the time or whatever. And even if y'all can't stay long, man, like it's all good. So we're gonna have like we're gonna keep it respectful, obviously, you know what I mean, to a degree, and kind of look out for each other. But that's gonna be something that's coming Thursday, man. I'm really excited about it to have an opportunity to just kind of like jost with everybody. You dig? So that's gonna do it for today, man. Again, I'm A Davis, Pels in the Blender. Appreciate all y'all for tapping in, man. Hit that like button, share, subscribe to the channel. The game tomorrow, I'm probably likely gonna give my ticket away. So if anybody want a ticket to the game tomorrow, man, DM me, hit me up, let me know, and I got you with a free ticket, man. If not, y'all be safe, stay up. It's early, probably on y'all lunchtime. You hear me? Y'all look out for yourselves. Again, A Davis, Pels in the Blender. I'm out. Peace.